All right. Hello. First thing I want to do is, I guess, say hello. The other thing I wanted to start with was just go over. I just wanted to go over the entire course, right? So the key to this is that you're really only writing one essay, like one research essay, and then each week is like a step toward that. So you're not writing separate essays, and each week is sort of linked to the next, and so on. So I have this course description here, right, that I just sort of put together, and it has basically what we do for each of the 8 weeks, right? And it's a pretty simple pattern, starting basically with this week. So you're going to do the research proposal this week. Then next week there'll be like a peer review. You will review someone else's proposal and make suggestions. Then week 4, you'll do another writing assignment where you'll write 3 paragraphs: introduction, body, conclusion paragraph. And then 5, you will do a peer review of that. And then 6, you will write a full rough draft of the essay. And then week 7, will be a peer review of that. And then week 8 is just finishing up the revising basically the rough draft, and then turning it into the final draft. So that's basically the whole idea behind this. Now, the other thing to pay attention to is that you're going to, when you can, you always want to use a template if they give it to you in the assignment, right? So I will show you. So here we are in our class. If you haven't seen this yet, right, I put together these resources. A lot of these I drop into the discussion during the week, right? But I just sort of put them here in case you want to come see them and you missed them or whatever. Um, so that's the week 1. This is the week 2 stuff that I have. Like I said, I'll probably post 2 things every day. Um, but again, if you want to take a look at whatever it is, you can come here. So here we go to week 2. So basically, again, there's like 3 tasks. I mean, I don't really count reading, even though reading's a task for sure. Um, so you read the introduction, then you have the EDAPT module, right? And for each week, so you go to the EDAPT module, 3 parts to that module, and you do that, and then you have that completed, right? So that's every week has an EDAPT module. Um, all right, so then we have the Cyber Cafe. So the weeks of the Cyber Cafe, or I guess it's called the Community Cafe early, it's those are just places for students to communicate with each other, essentially. So we've been sort of told like I can drop different hopefully useful bits of information or explanations or examples, things like that. But it's mainly for you to communicate with each other and maybe help each other, you know, um, develop the subject or work on the subject that you're trying to get going. But like I said, so I try to put here's like very short little videos about using the template, and that's what the template looks like and how you should fill it out. I just put this up recently, this idea about how to find scholarly sources using ChatGPT. So you want to check the discussion or the Cyber Cafe. Um, every day if you can, right? I mean, just check in, or whenever you log in, just check on it and you can then see what I have posted. Um, so you have to sign in, or you have to post to the Cyber Cafe, because that's what the Chamberlain uses for attendance. So the earlier you do that, the better. Um, so so either there's the Cyber Cafe, right, or there is the discussion board, which is basically the assignment. So week 2, here we are. So week 2 is you did your EDAP, you signed the Cyber Cafe, you signed in or you posted something, some comments, some ideas, some observations. Um, then we come to this actual writing parts, right? So, and they try to give you some various tools to do that with. So this is the template, right? And so what you want to do is you want to replace all of this information with real information, right? That you're actually for your subject and so on. So you fill that all out and then you save it, and then you submit that by clicking on the start assignment up here. And you should be able to then upload a file, so you can upload it from wherever you are storing it. So that's the proposal. So again, the key is there's always going to be an example or there's going to be a template. So if there is not a template, then you just want to get the example and look at that. And I mean, you can just use that as a template in any event. So that's the week 2. So then week 3, like when we get there, I'll do a thing about that, but I'm not so I won't go into it too much. But it's basically you will post onto the discussion board what you did this week, the proposal. So there's an explanation about it. You post it, and then you also I'll have to make sure I fix that link right there. You get a peer review worksheet. There's also always one up here all the way to the top. So you can do that. I want you to read through the peer review sheet, and then you complete this. Obviously, longer answers are better. I usually post something about how you just sort of some minimum requirements. I mean, they have them here, like this 2 full sentences and so on, but you want to make sure you say actual things that help. Like you sort of make yourself, give a suggestion or whatever. So that's part of the peer review process. But I'll go over that the thing for the office hour next week. But right now we're just worried about or thinking about week 2. All right, so this you will have seen in the discussion board, perhaps. It's a PowerPoint there. So I basically have turned it into just a PDF file. Let me just make this so that I can. Okay, so week 2. Here we go. You have the EDAP. Yes, you have the research proposal. You have the posting to the cyber cafe for attendance. So this is the theme for January, right? This is the new beginnings and so on. So the challenge here is going to be, I think, that you need to, what you're trying to write is an argument research paper. So you're trying to take a position about something and then sort of prove that position, right? So some of these things don't feel like some of the subjects, I think are easier to see that sort of like you can see where you would take a stand. Some of them are less obvious to me anyway. So these are the parts of the proposal, right? There's the stance, viability, opposing viewpoints, audience, understanding needs, research terms, and then I don't know. So it's document formatting, but if you use the template, then that's fine. That's it. I mean, I guess that has the title page on it. Okay, so let's go through these briefly. So state your stance within the debate that you choose. Okay, without using I. So you need to not use I, but this is the part where you need to come up with basically what's going to be your thesis statement. So you're taking some sort of position about whatever the subject is. One way to do this, like one trick to help, is to try to think of a research question, right? What is the question that you're going to answer? So you look at your subject and you try to come up with a question, because if you can come up with a question, then your answer will turn into your thesis statement. That's one of the sort of techniques to deal with it. You want to it's supposed to be an arguable subject, so an arguable position. So you're saying something is important, something should be a certain way, something should change. right? That's what your stance is. So try to, working towards that. That's going to become a big part of your essay because it will, like I said, be the thesis statement. All right, so why is your stance a good one for an argument research essay? So you want to give some reasons for why you believe your stance, right? You don't want to just be like, it's a good subject, because people argue about it. Instead, you sort of want to be like, this is a good subject because, and then give some reasons why it matters. Like, right? Because people are doing this, or people shouldn't do this, or there needs to be a change or something. So my example, driverless transportation should become the standard for traveling in America, because this will become a safer form of transportation and improve the environment and so on. So you're trying to come up with, you know, a few reasons why your position subject is a good subject to pursue for this essay. Then you're trying to think of, all right, who would disagree, who might disagree with your position, all right? So the way you want to think about this is that there are stakeholders, right? Groups of people or institutions or whatever that may disagree with your position. So you're trying to imagine who those are right now. Like you're not doing a lot of research, actually any research right now. But you're just trying to come up with something about, imagine who might disagree and what those arguments might be. These will turn into your counter arguments, where you will bring up whatever disagreement or opposition that seems important, and then you will find a way to sort of weaken that and strengthen your own position. So that's just who might disagree. Again, you're trying to think as broadly as possible. Think about every possible, group or entity that has some interest in whatever your subject is, and figure out who might not agree with what you're saying. Okay, the audience also, you want to, like, audience people are like, I don't know, people tend to think very like narrowly, I guess. So who will be the audience? It's like, oh, I guess people who dislike social media, they'll be the, okay, but what you need to do is broaden your thinking, right? So if I'm doing a paper about social media or negative impact of social media, right, my audience is going to be anybody who has a stake in social media. So social media companies, the government and their ideas about regulation, parents, groups. So you're trying to think of groups, right? And, maybe business or other businesses, if I think of those, but that's when you're doing your audience, you're really trying to think of as broadly as possible. Whoever, could care about whatever you're talking about, they're probably in the mix. Okay, and then this is sort of the longest part of this, and this, you need to pay attention to being specific about what you know about the subject already. Again, this is not doing without performing any research, right? So without performing any research, you're just like, here's what I know about this subject already. Here are things that I know. But what's even more important and often more difficult for people is to think about what it is you don't know, right? So what are some things that you think, like, I'm going to need to know this in order to make my argument? Like, identifying those specifically is going to be, key. And then the very last thing is that you're listing 5 possible search phrases. And the key to this is you want to make them as specific as possible, right? So you want to make them like, you can't, I'm not just going to look up social media, right? I need to be like the impact of social media on teen mental health, right? Something very specific, if that's what I'm doing. So try to think of 5 different phrases, and then those are your basically research terms just to get you started for researching, which is the next step after this proposal.